Y'all let me know when I'm live. I'm texting my son. Make sure. Damn, phone about to die. All right, I see we live on it. Then let me exit out of here on my this thing. Hold on. I wonder, can you do that with Zoom, man? Go live from both at the same time. I'm quite sure you probably can. I just may have to figure that out. We got some with Facebook and something else on there, but I ain't never tried that. Let me share to these group. Oh, my iPhone 500. Finna put in no more. I'm gonna put it in here. Y'all give me 1 second. Yeah. Gotta go get some water. Y'all share the show too, man. You don't mind. I don't know if anybody in the chat yet. Dang, I put the link in. Shit, I don't know where Shawn at. Shawn, where you at? Y'all give me a second. Y'all be patient with me. Here I come, man. Here I come. Let me get off from over here. Get out of here. Get back over here. Peace, brother. Davis. Peace, peace. Shit. Let me pull up my phone up. All right. Get back in here. Okay. All right. First, I want to say welcome back to Kofi Piesie TV. Kofi Piesie TV is the channel that takes the black man, the black woman, and child Eurocentric mind and Africanize it. I want to say ETM Hotep, Dua Duau, Dua Aku, Dua Netcher, Fatmu Alafiye, Fatmu Riri, Majuba Iba E Gungun, Majuba Iba E Gungun, Majuba Iba E Ilakba, Majuba Iba E Ilakba. I always want to give honor and praises to the ancestors, because without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. Oh, Egungun Kiki Egungun. Yeah, like I was saying, without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. We are our ancestors. I also want to give honor and praises to the true and living ancestors according to African, from an African perspective, because I do look at things from a African worldview, and perspective. I have Brother Satepenra Mariaman. I have Vasa Nicolo Gullah, T'Challa Bangara, and Brother Sutekh on the panel. Those that's coming up, piece of those that's in the chat, piece of those that may be coming in the chat a little bit later, piece of those that may be watching this in the archives. Before I share my screen, any of you brothers got anything, man, before I start presenting?
Yeah, peace to the chat. Appreciate y'all for coming through, stopping by with us. About to get into a presentation on COVID-19, and we have a little announcement.
You kind of cut out on us, Sutekh. Any one of your other brothers got anything? Sutekh, I hope it ain't me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, I was just saying peace to the chat, man. Like and share the show. We appreciate y'all coming through, stopping by with us. Get ready to get into this presentation, and we have a announcement afterwards.
Yep. Any one of your other brothers?
I read somewhere on the brochure that there was fish tacos being handed out tonight. I'm here for the fish tacos.
I got plenty left in there.
Peace, everybody.
Yeah.
Peace, everybody. Back for round 2 of this knowledge with Brother Kofi. We appreciate everybody that always stopped through. Let's get this knowledge.
Yeah, all right. So again, peace to Brother Chave. Oh, my bad. Go ahead, Satepenra. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Peace to the chat. Peace to everybody on the panel. Let's get this culture.
That's right. Yeah, again, peace to Brother Chavis, Sister Sophie, Brother Shawn, know where his tank head at, Brother Zane, peace, Sister Julanda. If y'all will, please like and share the show. Share the show with those that you think that may be interested in this information. Don't share it to those that you think that may not be interested in the information. I'm share my screen. Let me turn my camera off. Go and do that now. Go and share my screen. Okay. So we're gonna get it in. We're gonna get it in. Peace, coach. One time, peace. Let me know when my presentation is sharing. Yeah, man, I know it's a delay on the other end.
Sharing, Kofi.
All right. Okay. Well, today's presentation is called Coronavirus COVID-19 in Africa and its possible effects. We know it's been a lot of talk around the virus. So today I'm going to be talking about COVID-19 in Africa. So let's get it in. I had to put a disclaimer out here before I get started. I am not a teacher, but merely a student sharing information. And that information provided is for the educational purpose only. And if you are in doubt, do the research and have it verified by someone qualified. I reserve the right to change the focus of this presentation to shut down, sell, or exchange the terms or use at my own discretion. Our trademark, design rights, copyrights, registers, name, mottos, logos, avatars, or signals, or marks used or cited by this website are the property of the respective owners. I reserve the right to add information as it comes available in the future, adapt changes, improve information as it comes available in the future. Inputs, wanted changes, additions, deletions are encouraged. Again, this is my saying. I live by this saying. I stand by this saying, and I demonstrate this saying all the time. As I learn, we all learn. Again, as my brother stated earlier, my brother Satepenra stated, let's get this culture. And This one, we must not let our ancestors down. We must not let our ancestors down. All right, my name is Kofi Piesie, and I am a diaspora African, and I am not a scientist, a doctor, or any physician in the medical field. This presentation is just some basic information I researched or some information given to me by some of my colleagues about the coronavirus COVID-19. I want to show the possible effects in Africa that the virus SARS COVID should have been COVID-2 can cause. This is what I'll be building off of. These are my bullet points right here. Is where did the virus start at? SARS, MERS, and COVID-19. H COVID 229E alpha coronavirus, H coronavirus, NL63 alpha coronavirus, OC43 beta coronavirus, and HKU1 beta coronavirus. We'll also be touching on the myths. The myths pertaining to COVID-19 is seasonal and it dies with warm weather or hot weather. We'll deal with that. Confirmed cases in each country in Africa. So we'll talk about those confirmed cases. We'll show y'all those confirmed cases and give y'all the total numbers. The effects of African food systems, the effect of food producers, the effect of buying food, the effects of African economics. So these are the bullet points that I'll be dealing with. And again, I'm not a scientist, a doctor, or any physician in the medical field. I'm not a specialist. I'm not a pro at this. So let's get into it. Coronavirus. Corona equals crown in Latin. So corona in Latin means crown. It comes from the order in the Varellas. It is the family of the Corona Vadara, if I'm pronouncing that right. We have the coronaviruses has A, which is alpha coronavirus, B B beta coronavirus, and gamma coronavirus, and D coronavirus. The coronavirus we'll be talking about is A and B because those are the two that shows up in human beings, which is the alpha coronavirus and the beta coronavirus. And again, the coronavirus or corona comes from the Latin word, which means crown. And they gave it the name because of these two pictures I have on the slides. Them taking a picture of actually the virus inside of someone. It has those protein spikes in the inside of them. I mean, on the top of them, the protein spikes. So again, we're going to be dealing with alpha and beta. Alpha and beta are the only coronaviruses that are shown in human beings. All right. The Center of Disease Control and the Prevention of CDC develops a test diagnose COVID-19 in the respiratory and the serum samples. NIAID also is accelerated effort to develop additional diagnosis tests for COVID-19. These tests are helping faculties preclinical studies and aids in development of medical countermeasures. NIAID COVID-19 research efforts build on earlier research to severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, and in the Middle East syndromes, MERS, which also causes the coronavirus. MERS is a viral respiratory disease that was first reported in Saudi Arabia in Saudi Arabia in September 2012. It has since spread to 27 countries, according to the World Health Organization. Some people infected with MERS coronavirus, which is the Middle East respiratory syndrome, develops severe acute respiratory illness, include fevers, coughs, and shortness of breath. For the emergency through January 2020, Hugh, which is Hugh confirms 2,519 MERS cases and 866 deaths. About one in each of the third among the report cases, people about 80% occurs in Saudi Arabia. Only the two of the United States have tested positive for MERS COVID, but whom covered, they were healthcare providers who lived in Saudi Arabia, where they likely were affected before traveling back to the US. According to Dr. Esper, a better understanding this coronavirus, he urged there is a task of a closure, looks at other strands, viewing them category as old and new. So first, let me stop. On the other slide, we was talking about SARS-CoV, which was a coronavirus, a respiratory uh, disease, which was in 2002. Then the MERS coronavirus that started in the Middle East in Saudi Arabia in 2012. And then now we have the SARS-CoV-2, what we call, SARS-CoV-2, what we call the coronavirus, COVID-19. According to Esper, the better understanding of the coronavirus, he urged that we take a closer look at the strains, view them category as old and new in the terms of how long they have been affecting humans. Genetically, the separating of two four categories, which I talked about a while ago, alpha, beta, gamma, and delta, which alpha and beta are the only ones that we're going to talk about because alpha coronavirus and beta coronavirus are the two that are shown up in human beings. Coronaviruses are only alpha and beta coronavirus has been found and to affect human beings. The older human coronavirus was first identified in the Middle East in 1960, but likely circulated in humans for centuries. So the coronavirus has been around for centuries, y'all. These including 229E, which I talked about on the last slide, which is the H coronavirus 229 E, which was found in 1960, which is an alpha coronavirus. Then you have the H coronavirus, which is the NL63, which is also an alpha coronavirus, which NL stands for Netherlands, which was found in Netherlands. OC43 coronavirus, which is a beta coronavirus, and HQU1 beta coronavirus. So these are coronaviruses. Actually, before we get to the SARS, COVID, SARS coronavirus in 2002, the MERS coronavirus in 2012, and the current coronavirus COVID-19 in 2019. I think though the new Netherlands, the coronavirus NL63, I think it was developed. I don't know if the date. I think the date for that was like 2000. Let me see. I want to make sure what that date was. Hold on. Let me get Shawn in here too. I think that's Shawn. Okay, yeah, that's Shawn. All right. All right, we got him in here. But I can't remember exactly when did the Netherlands, I think it might have been like in 2014. I could be mistaken. I'm not sure. I can't remember at the time. So you have other coronaviruses that existed before we get to the other three that a lot of people are actually talking about right now. I'm trying to see. Okay. The infection of SARS coronavirus, SARS-CoV, can cause a severe viral respiratory illness. SARS was first reported in Asia in February 2003, though cases subsequently were tracked to November 2002. SARS quickly spread it to 26 countries before being contained after about 4 months. More than 18,000 people fell from SARS and 774 died. So with this coronavirus that came out of 2002, 774 people died from this coronavirus. Since 2004, there has been no reports of SARS cases. So after 2004, this coronavirus just completely disappeared. Now, Shawn, you on the panel. Now, the SARS, this SARS coronavirus here that came out in 2012, they did a bunch of testing and stuff for this. And I know SARS-CoV-2 has some similar genetic 70 to 80% genetic material to this one in 2002, correct?
It's acting a little bit similar, but a lot different. which makes it a new, because it's a new virus. So it's something that we've never seen, and it's not attacking. It's attacking totally different. So the one that came out then is differently than the one that came out now by that percentage mark. But yeah.
Okay. Research evidence suggests that SARS-CoV and MERS, which we know MERS is the Middle East respiratory syndrome that came from out of Saudi Arabia, originated in bats, and it's likely that SARS-CoV-2 did as well. SARS-CoV then spread it from infected civics to people, while MERS-CoV spread it from the infection of dromedary camels to people. And a little bit of the research that I've seen that's dealing with this Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome, this coronavirus that came out of 2012, was saying that the infection was by camels, but also I think by camel milk. They was drinking camel milk as well. Scientists are trying to determine how SARS-CoV-2 spread it from an animal to reservoir to people. All right, so again, we know that the A and B, alpha coronaviruses and B coronaviruses are found in human beings. So we have the SARS coronavirus here, the SARS-CoV coronavirus 2 in 2019, which was established in Wuhan, the province of Hebei, China. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the Hebei right. And MERS, which was discovered in 2012 in Saudi Arabia. The severe SAR or SARS is just severe acute respiratory syndrome. That's only what SARS means. And again, the death for those coronaviruses at that time was 774. There was more than 8,000 cases. Fatality rate was at a 9.6%. Those symptoms from the SARS was majority have severe symptoms of fever, cough, chills, malignant ADR, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome, which can also be caused in a fatality. Also, we have here with the current SARS-CoV-2, its symptoms are severe fatal fever, coughing, dyspnea, and ARDS, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome. Then we have here again.
It's got diarrhea too.
Yeah, diarrhea is also, and I see that too. The diarrhea was in one of those old, might have been in the Netherlands. I don't know if I may have the symptoms of those on there. You can see some of the same similarity of the symptoms with all of these coronaviruses and even the older ones, but that pre-exist these. The symptoms for the MERS, asymptomatic severe. Symptomatic means some people may have the same thing here, asymptomatic severe. Some people may have the symptoms and some people may not have the symptoms. The same with the MERS. They also have fever, coughing, dizziness, severe at what is that word now, y'all? I don't want to mispronounce it. Pneumonia, AKL, which is acute kidney injuries, and ADRS, which is the same thing, acute respiratory distress syndrome, which also can be caused in a fatality. All right, the average number of persons with the virus can affect based on the RO scale. So we got H&N-I1, but we're going to talk about SARS, we're going to talk about COVID-19, and we're going to talk about MERS, since we're talking about those pre-existing coronaviruses and the current one. SARS, it says that 2 to 1 affected one person with SARS coronavirus 2002. The average of one person can affect up to 3 people. The MERS coronavirus that was in 2012, it says it can affect up to 4.5 people. And in the current COVID-19 virus that we have, they can affect up to 2.5 or 3 people. And you see Ebola, I'm going to say Ebola, but you see Ebola up here. And we know there was an epidemic in Africa years ago, and I think it was another epidemic in 2014 that they was calling old Ebola. But so also, and Shawn, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but some of the research that I found that the Ebola also comes from bats. Some of those viruses also comes from the
Yeah,
bat.
a lot of it's not this when you say bats, it's kind of broad, but it's yes.
Yeah, it's I know it's
It's a different kind of bat
1,400
in each
different
area.
species.
And for certain particular species, the Ebola does derive from that particular kind of bat.
Okay. Yeah, so you said so different. So just for some clarity for me and for listening audience, like I said, there's over like 1,400 um different species of bats. So it's each one of those bats, they carry like a specific coronaviruses for different symptoms, and they
No,
mutate different. I'm asking, I'm asking.
right. If well, you asking about the coronavirus, as far as the research conducted, certain bats aren't in certain climates, and they are living in well, environmentally, they're not having the same experience in caves than other places. They just make great hosts for pathogens,
Right.
which viruses are pathogens. So because they make great hosts for pathogens based on the living conditions and what they are sustained and how they eat and live and all of that stuff around their poop and all of that, they make great hosts to spread these things, but they don't all encounter a specific per se coronavirus, because something may not be transmittable in South America like it may be in Africa, like it may be in India, like it may be in China, because those are different species of bats and they're all having their own experiences. So this like, in Kenya per se, in the caves in Kenya, they were linking the Ebola virus to that spread in Kenya to bats because of the environment that those bats came in. And after the research and the science went in, the spread of the Ebola derived from those bats.
Mm-hmm. And these bats, they have like super immune system. So these viruses um that they carry doesn't affect them at all, right, Shawn?
No, they don't affect them at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because of
In
their
some
super.
instances, certain pathogens don't affect us, but in other instances, it does. So yeah, it's kind of, that's what makes, the study of all this thing is why they immediately go to animals or they go to bats, is because they make the perfect host, period, because of the conditions that they live in and are able to sustain in. Like yesterday in the presentation, when I talked about like stress levels, when you're talking about your immune system or something like that, how you can deal with the stress levels, like the earth had to deal with a certain amount of stress before it was able to actually hone in on and deal with certain things. It's the same thing with these viruses. Your body has to take on a certain level of stress and be able to fight off or ward off that stress level. And to your point, yeah, they're just immune to a lot of that. Now, see, if a different type of an animal was to encounter that, they may react totally different. Just like if a dog right now catches, or if a dog right now catches SARS coronavirus 2, we may see a lot of diarrhea coming out of that dog. Or it may react totally different because it's not immune to that, even though it can be a host for certain pathogens.
And can that virus, okay, can that virus that the dog contract, the coronavirus that the dog contract, can it mutate into something else by the time that dog transmitted to a human being?
I wouldn't say, okay, if a dog had contracted it, that means it's already really pretty much mutated it. So we can become infected because of our love for certain pets. So if a dog has come across or has been infected with the coronavirus, 9 times out of 10, man's best friend is going to affect man, meaning man or woman. So that's going to increase our chances of also having a reaction based on the dog, because that pathogen is going to, get on our skins. We gonna touch the dogs, we're gonna rub the dog gonna lick you, all of that stuff gonna happen with the dog. You feel what I'm saying? The dog, if you wrestling with the dog, he gonna nibble on you a little bit. And that makes grounds for, the virus to move on to a new host. And it needs a host in order for it to be a live virus, because it's necessarily not a live virus until it's able to mutate in those cells and get that blood.
Yep. Correct. Yeah. And I'm just asking questions, man, you know what I'm saying, just for clarity, for the listening audience and for me on some instance.
Hey, brother Kofi.
Go ahead.
I wanted to add, in my novice research in terms of studying nature and studying how different organisms benefit from being in the presence of others. We have all different types of things within the quote unquote animal kingdom. You have animals that form alliances with one another to help each other. Goes into like some of the birds in Africa that sit on top of the rhinos and the elephants, and they pick off some of the flies that irritate the animals. So there's a sort of symbiotic relationship there. So all things are interacting with other things in nature. Like, we're not out here just separate. And when it was researching with the specific COVID-19 virus, part of what scientists are looking at is the possibility of the reason why it attacks the respiratory system and causes the immune system to have an overreaction is because in bats, their immune system is hyperactive. And they have to be that way because they are mammals that fly. And we're not doing a bat presentation, but if you really study what the nature of bats and the anatomy of bats are actually fascinating creatures in terms of how they tick. And so scientists use them for all types of medical purposes and things of that nature in terms of study of how we can, why is their immune system the way it is? So that has a lot to do with the virus acting the way it does in terms of dealing with the human immune system.
Okay. I hope y'all taking out, writing this stuff down, pens and pads, and then taking these articles that's been put in. I have tons of links and articles, journals as well. Bats are responsible for some of the most far-inducing zoonotic viruses, those that are spread from animals to humans. And recent viruses, those that are spread from animals to humans, are recent memories. Ebola, SARS, Marburg, Netcher, and more have been traced to the world's only mammal capable of sustaining flight. A new study suggests that the unique niche in the animal kingdom may be responsible for the viral tract record. Essentially, some of the same adaptations that let bats take to the sky also endows them to, and that's what you was explaining to T'Challa, high function immune system, according to the study published early this month in this journal of eLife. The powerful immune response dwarfs invading viruses, driving them to adapt more rapidly than they would in other hosts. This tends to produce viruses far deadlier than the pathogen found in other creatures. So when one of them does leap to humans, the consequences are often alarming. The virus can replicate faster. Same thing Brother Shawn was talking about when they're replicating the virus attaching to the cell, the membrane cell, and injecting the genetic information and start to copy and reduplicate itself. When it reduplicates itself too, Shawn, while you're on here, it ends up, don't it destroys the cell after it starts to replicate itself, and replicate itself, it begins to destroy the cell.
That's his job. Yep,
Yeah.
that's his job. The virus's job is to go in there and go to war with your defense system.
The virus can replicate faster in a bat host without damaging the bat, says Cara Brooks, one of the study lead authors. But when it merged into something that lacks a bat immune system, it's extremely virulent. The coronavirus disease in 2019, COVID-19 outbreaks started in Hebrew, which we already talked about. Province in 2019 has spread it all over the continent and affected 177 countries by March 27, 2020. Successful effort to contain the coronavirus in Asia resulted in WHO declared Europe as an epicenter of the disease on March the 3rd, 2002, where the warmer temperatures will slow the spread of the COVID-19 viruses, severe acute respiratory syndromes, coronavirus 2, SARS coronavirus 2 has been pointed and much speculation. The hypothesis has led some European countries to produce initial policies relying on decreased transmission rates during the summer months. And listen to this, summer months 3, and believe the African country will face smaller epidemics than the European counterparts. However, no strong evidence-based exists such a claim that SARS-CoV-2 might have simply arrived later to warmer countries. So we'll get into that. They saying that the COVID-19 arrived to Africa later due to warmer conditions or hot weather. This is right now with just a hypothesis. So it's not concurrent, but let's get into it. Let's get into it. So can hot weather kill COVID-19 virus, or is it just a myth? Again, can hot weather kill COVID-12 viruses, or is it just a myth? According to World Health Organization, you can catch COVID-19 no matter how sunny or hot the weather is. Countries with hot weather have reported cases of COVID-19. To protect yourself, make sure you clean your hands frequently, thoroughly, and avoid touching your eyes, mouth, and nose. Exposing yourself to the sun or temperature higher than 22 degrees does not prevent the coronavirus disease, COVID-19. This is coming from the World Health Organization that they call WHO. So, and this is a myth because you got people thinking that this is just like the flu and other things, it's seasonal. And once the weather begins to get warm and get hot, it disappears. You know, even your president is thinking some of the same things, you know what I'm saying, on those lines when you got doctors is telling him differently now. Several people, including the U.S. president, have suggested that the novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 and the diseases its causes COVID-19 will go away on its own in warmer weather than it will come in the northern hemisphere in the coming months. And I can verify for that. I know a few weeks ago I was looking at with him on the news. He actually was. The only reason why I was looking at it is because the CEO of the company that I work for was standing right beside him doing his press conference, and he was talking in the lines of warmer weather when it warms up, and he was giving out the dates when a lot of this stuff was going to so-called clear. This was something that I heard and seen with my own eyes, and like I said, I only paid attention to the press conference because the CEO of the company that I work for was actually standing beside him, and he was giving some information, and he was actually, the president was actually bigging up him because we are in the fight to make sure that people are getting the supplies and the foods that they need during this pandemic. So go away on its own, and the warmer weathers that will come in the northern hemisphere is coming in months. so have even suggested that the experience of SARS in 2003 provided evidence for this assertion, which we talked about in the previous slide. That when we talked about SARS, the coronavirus that developed in 2002, in 2004, it just disappeared. So, they're doing some of their reasoning of the same, the same thing with this coronavirus. Myth number one, in 2003, SARS went away on its own as a weather, as the weather got warmer, where actually 2004, not 2003. SARS did not die of natural causes. It was killed by extremely intense public health intervention in mainly Chinese cities, Hong Kong, Vietnamese, Thailand, Canada, and elsewhere. This involves isolating cases, quarantining their contacts, a measure of social distance, and other intensity efforts. This worked well for SARS because those who were most affected were also quite ill in a distinctive way. The sick cases were then transmitters so isolated that the sick curbed transmission. In Toronto, SARS resurged after initial wave was controlled and precautions was discounted. This resurgence was eventually linked to the case from the first wave. The resurgence confirms that it was control measures that stopped transmission of the first time. Myth number two, the common cold. Coronavirus are seasonal and little transmission in the summer, so SARS-CoV-2 will be too. Predicting how the novel virus will behave based on how others behave is also speculated. But sometimes we have to do so when we have little else to go on. So for the first problem with this myth is that we do not know whether those coronaviruses, which go by the evactive names like OC43, HQU1, which are, I think they are beta coronaviruses. Then you got H coronavirus 229E, which is a alpha coronavirus, and the Netherlands coronavirus NL63, which is also, I think, alpha coronavirus, are good analogies for this virus. This is worth considering the analogy, especially to OC43 and KHU1, which are SARS-CoV-2 closest relatives among the seasonal coronaviruses. The other reason this myth is a seasonal virus that has been in population for a long time, like OC43 and HQU1, behave differently from viruses that is newly introduced into the population. The numbers confirmed cases in Africa country with the confirmed COVID-19 causes do not support the hypothesis that the virus will spread more slowly in countries with warmer climates. So we know that you can catch the coronavirus in warm weather, hot weather, cold weather. It don't matter. You could connect to contract this virus in any type of weather and or go away in the summer months. Also, according to Global Health, they believe that the epidemic has started later in Africa than for other reasons, and it's not because of the warm weather, y'all. Globally, because of the limited international air traffic, whether than warm or hot climate. They shut everything down. You can't nothing get in there and can't nothing get out of there. As of mid-February 29, countries have reported cases, including Egypt, with the first confirmed cases. So they're saying the first confirmed cases in Africa was in Egypt on the African continent. Trade migrations between Africa and China, as well as present as roughly 1 million Chinese nationals on the continent, mean it is possible that other COVID-19 cases will appear. We know the Chinese, the Chinaman is in Africa. We know that Africa is trading with China. We're going to get into that in a minute. Totally confirmed coronavirus cases in Africa. Right now, and it may have increased, but this is from the 7th, and I think the 7th was currently a Friday. So they might have increased in the last 2 days. Total confirmed corona cases in Africa is 10,268 cases. Recovery is 1,002 cases. Confirmed deaths is 491 cases so far. Last updates, this was 7 April 1340. This is by the WHO, World Health Organization, and then the Johns Hopkins um, Health Organization. Um, Coronaviruses in Africa tracker. This is the African tracker. This is the confirmed cases so far. You got in Algeria, you got 1,468 cases. In Angola, you got 16 cases. In Benin, you got 26 cases. In Botswana, you got 6 cases. In Burkina Faso, you got 364 cases. In Rwanda, you got 3 cases. In Cameroon, 685. Cabo Verde, you got 7. Central African Republican, you got 9. Chad, 10. Corosa, you got 0 cases in there. Congo Republican, you got 49. Congo Democratic Republican, you got 180. Cote d'Ivoire, which is the Ivory Coast, you got 323 cases. Djibouti, you got 121 cases. Egypt, which where the first case was found, you got 1,322 cases. In Guyana, you got 16. Eritrea, 31. Eswatini, you got 10. Ethiopia, 52. Gabon, you got 30. Gambia, you got 4. Ghana, 287 cases. Guyana, you got 128. Guyana-Bissau, you got 33. Kenya, you got 172 cases. In Lesotho, you got 0 cases. So you got 0 cases in Corosa, and you got 0 cases in Lesotho. Liberia, you got 14. Libya, you got 19. Madagascar, you got 82. Malawi, you got 8. Mali, you got 56. Mauritania, you got 6. Mauritius, you got 268. Morocco, you got 1,184 cases. Mozambique, 10. Namibia, 16. Niger, 215. Nigeria, 283. Rwanda, 105 cases. Sao Tome and Principe, you got 4. And Senegal, you got 237 cases. The big cases that you got so far is in Algeria, Egypt, Morocco, and I think that's it. That's it. Those are the ones that are in the thousands. Will COVID-19 affect Africa's food system? In short, there is no particular reason to expect Africa's food supply to be sufficiently affected as a direct result to the pandemic. Many African countries are net importers of foods, with the continent spending about $65 billion on food imports in 2007. The global trade on which they relies is not expected to be disrupted by the pandemic. Unlike in 2007 and 2008, the high energy costs are not pushing up food prices. Africa also grows much of its own supplies. Some 60% of the population is engaged in agriculture, including many small scales of farming. Purely subsistence farming, of whom there are relatively few, should be protected by the fact that they grow most of their own foods. Farmers who produce for the markets as well as their own consumptions may be well placed to weather the crisis too, both in terms of feeding themselves and earning an income when other forms of employment decline. If the food security does not become a concern, governments and donors may suspend the drive of integrating small-scale farmers into global supply chains and priorities and provisions of local markets instead. In some cities, urban areas, agriculture remains a vital source of food, dietary diversities, and income. During the crisis, small-scale gardens in towns could be an important source of food, especially in incomes fall as a result of the declining of employment, they are losing jobs over there rapidly. In some rural areas, foraging the wild food collection, it is an important source of dietary diversity. While some people have suggested certain wild species bats and pelicans were the source of COVID-19, it is important not to diminish forage foods and consider a broader structure forces that have led a habitual destruction of more frequent interaction between human and wildlife. Will it affect the food producers? This may be more of a concern, though it is difficult to predict exactly what effect will be soon. According to some estimates, 70% of African food is produced by women. In several southern African countries, for example, rural women are primary food crops producers, while men are more involved in animal husbandry and labors off other farms. Women are also often responsible for care of children, the sick, of the elderly. This means that it could have increased exposure to the COVID-19 with knock-on implication for food production, food preparation, and nutrition. So the women are, excuse me, I ain't got the corona, y'all. So the women are the primary producers of the food, and they are also heavily in contact um, with kids, with and with the elderly, taking care of the elderly people. So they may be at high risk of contracting COVID-19. It is also the case of farmers tend to be older than average. And even those that are in contact, those women that are in contact or taking care of the elders in their communities, in their society, are older. One of the people that are at high risk are people that are up in age. So a lot of these communities have these elders, and a lot of these people that are in contact with others um, you know, may contract this virus and give it to these elders. And we know that these elders get these people that are up in older age. Their immune system may not be able to fight the viruses off. Africa has a youth population, but young people tend to less interest in agriculture and more likely to migrate to urban areas. These leaves a slightly older farmers population that could be more vulnerable to the coronavirus, and will be particularly true people whose immune system is compromised by HIV and AIDS. Will the COVID-19 affect people's ability to buy food? This may be more immediate concern and will depend somewhat on the kinds of policies and restrictions governments um, is put in place. And most of those policies and restrictions they put in place are the same that they have here. Schools are out. Certain people can't work on certain jobs right now. Social distance is being practiced. Self quarantine now is being practiced. Many governments have already tightened borders, stricken gatherings, and yes, they shut down the borders. Like I said earlier, no one can take a plane and leave there or come in. The crises have already fundamentally changed people's lives, not just regards of the public health, but in terms of the politics, economics, public service, and much more. Many people in the urban areas already face poverty and struggle to get food. And we know that in certain poor areas, they are struggling um, to get food. Under COVID-19, these difficulties will increase. The very poorest often depends on casual labor in the informal sections to get by, jobs that will not be possible under conditions or lockdowns or enforced social distance, right? And those policies are in place in Africa now, social distance, self-quarantine, and a lot of jobs has been shut down at the moment. So a lot of these people that in these poor areas that are depending on these jobs to get food to support their families are out of jobs due to the lockdowns. And it's gonna be rough for them to feed themselves and feed them families. If employment opportunity declines, some urban resistance may return to their familiar homes in rural areas where excess food is easier. But it's not an option for everyone, especially those who originally left to escape violence and hunger. The question where to buy food is also uncertain. While supermarkets advance in some cities, and we know there are supermarkets, there are the same amenities and the same markets, the same malls, the same lots that we have here, they have there. Did a whole presentation. What's the first thing that pops up in your mind when you think about Africa? And I did that presentation because we have been conditioning through school, through the commercials, especially. I know when I was growing up, it was pushed more in the media how Africa was supposed to be this poorest country. We lacking of food, we lacking of health care, we just lacking of so many different things. So we look at Africa that does not have anything, when we know Africa damn near sustains the whole world because it has most of the natural resources grows in the ground in Africa. So I wanted to highlight that in that presentation that I did, but I also wanted to show you that Africa had university, they had colleges, they had malls, they had supermarkets, they had grocery stores, the same thing that we have here access to, they have there. But they also have smaller markets in certain areas too. Those farmers that grow their own food sets up their markets and they sell the food. Advanced in some cities, many people in urban areas depends on small shops and open air markets. These outlines are especially important to those who can only afford to buy in small quantities. Efforts of closed markets for public health reasons will compromise people's ability to buy food, as well as curtail the livelihood of produce and vendors, and the knockout consequences for their own food security. While such actions may become necessary to combat the pandemic, uh, creating alternates for the people will be important. So it's not only affecting um, um, the people in poorest areas that has to have these jobs in order to you know what I'm saying, to take care of their family. Yeah, they can't do that due to the lockdown, social distance, and the quarantine. But you also have those farmers who are also knocked out as well because of the lockdown and the self quarantine. Who sets up these smaller markets in the areas to sell food after they um, pick everything from their farm to sell. Will COVID-19 affect African economics? The coronavirus COVID-19 is not only a public emergency, it is also posed as a major threat to the world economic. It has already caused global stock markets to crash, raising fear of recession, and so far, African has escaped the scales of infection seen in other parts of the world. But does that mean it will also escape the economic consequence in the pandemic? No, it would not. We know Africa have less cases than anywhere else in the world. Um, and we know over here we is rising. I think we are at 499,826 cases in the United States, and we are steady growing. I think we have surpassed Italy and some of these other Europe countries um, dealing with the number of cases of this COVID-19. And we know Africa has the smallest cases. I showed you a while ago. I think the amount that they have is 10,286 cases so far. This was the numbers as of Friday. Go ahead.
One of the reasons why Africa does not have a lot of cases is not only because of social distancing, because there's a lot of space to cover on a continent, right? So it's not traveling as fast as it would. Even in the cities, a lot of the cities and the borders have shut down.
Yeah.
And that has helped them. But if it was to spread really, 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 really fast, it could affect them from the perspective that it has the ability to touch all over so quickly. But because of the space and the gap and it being secluded, and these European nations have had it, and travel has been shut down, and people are not able to get to and from particular places, that has helped them. It's not necessarily the heat or anything like that. I'm going to say it was more so of basically border control and the distancing that people already had amongst themselves, because it takes so far to get to town, so to say, or to get to the market. And because some travel a long distance just to go buy food and then come all the way back with that. That's a long travel between people. However, people have taken the emphasis off of how European nations are like dropping, and how Chinese nations or Asian nations are like dropping, and then it's in the Americas now, but we really haven't even spoke much on South America.
Yeah, we
You know
have.
what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
like Africa, South America hasn't been really highlighted in this whole pandemic.
Yeah.
Not to say that there's no cases there, because we just haven't really talked about it. As far as the Americas go, America and Canada North America and Canada has been the front runners for that. But you have to think about it. These European nations, because are running the way that they're running, is because a lot of them are travelers. So they're leaving these places and they're already in other places, and then they're coming back to these places and they are infected.
Right.
This is one of the reasons why New York is running rampant right now, because a lot of New Yorkers, especially European New Yorkers, will take those flights right out of New York to other countries. And when they come back from those countries, they are now back in the city where they are highly contagious and spreading something that they do not know that they actually have.
Yeah.
You think it got something to do with like New York being more densely populated too?
Yes, if you look at the if you look at New York, you got to look at New York. You got to look at Detroit, right? You got to look at who else got a high rate real quick? Atlanta, right? These busy airports.
Up here where I'm at in Shawtown,
Chi-town too.
it's spiked quick.
Florida.
Yes,
Florida.
yes.
Florida the same way.
Listen
Yeah.
to it. The heavily dense populated areas, but also more importantly, the fastest way for a virus to spread is the airport. The airport, because travelers are coming and going at high rates and high speeds. And one of the main airports, like in LA and New York, them mugs don't never shut down because they're international landing zones. So that means there's flights that's coming from around the world to those spots all day long.
That makes sense too, because it's densely populated in those areas, but like in Africa, is you will have more rural areas, so it will be harder to spread that way. I would think.
Yeah.
Yes, it's harder to spread. It's one of the reasons why you have like if you go like in Tennessee, right? Like Chattanooga, right? If you go to Chattanooga, what they like to do? They like to go hunt fish,
Right.
right? But it's also some space in between a lot of people in those areas, right? So and partly because some of them live near the mountains, and in certain parts you can't live on certain parts of the mountain. So you got these gaps and you levitated. You got to go way up a hill, up a mountain sometimes to get to some of these people's houses in certain parts of Chattanooga or outside of Chattanooga. So they still feel entitled to the fact that they can do whatever they want to do because they ain't in heavily dense areas. And this goes to the point of the fact that what makes Black people so susceptible to this virus getting us is because we're in those heavily dense areas because of poverty, not because of we just Black.
That's exactly what I
Now
was
it's a
thinking.
Black,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's a Black thing. But I ain't mean to cut.
No, you good. You good. You good. But
Well,
does this?
I think that's important to analyze how cultural responses and cultural effects take place on all this. That's the part I'm waiting for, personally. Y'all know I'm more into psychology. But yeah, we do have to look at it that way. And I think that contributes as well, because a word Shawn used a while ago is entitlement. A lot of these people who are helping spread it, let's just cut all the BS out the way. They feel entitled in such a way that they feel that they can do whatever. That comes along with this culture that we're stuck in. And I think that helps spread the numbers as well. The arrogance and all that. So
Hmm. But does that mean it will also escape the economic consequences of the pandemic? The answer is certainly no. Just because they have less cases don't mean they're going to escape. African country trades more than the rest of the world than they do with each other. China, where the COVID-19 outbreak began, it is Africa's biggest uh, trading partners. I got trading. Biggest trading partners, and China economic has been severely disrupted. Factories has been closed, many international flights suspended, and workers placed in lockdown. Suddenly, Africa traders used to fly back and forth to buy Chinese goods can't get hold of the stocks they need. So the fewer products to buy, consumers spending in Africa could go down, which would slow economic growth. So, like I said, they can't escape um, the crash of the economics of the economic system slowing down through the international flights being closed. And one, like I said, they trade more with China and with European countries than they do with themselves. China is one of their biggest trading partners, and we know that uh, the pandemic started over there in China first. So a lot of their big factories and those things are shut down. So the Chinamen can't get into Africa. The Africans can't get into China. Everything's shut down right now. With China, the world factories hitting pause on production, it depends on African commodities has fallen on of the cliff. Raw materials like oil is African most lucrative export. Angola and Congo, Brazzaville sells for more oil to China than any other African country. So they not only selling it to the European, they selling it to China too. Yeah.
It's called Brazzaville.
Brazzaville, you know our term of Brazzaville.
Yeah.
What did I say?
I
Brazzaville.
don't even want to say.
Brazzaville. I think that's what I said.
You better leave him alone. Let that boy alone.
That's right. I'm country. I don't care. Uh, and I'll tear up some words. But Nigeria is the biggest oil exporter, sell more than a third of its oil to Europe. And with Europe now in the epicenter of the pandemic, demands there will be hit and drops in oil sales, and it is not a the continent only problem. The same slump will hit other commodities like copper and other metals used in the constructions of demands, and other goods will be down as COVID-19's hit key trading partners. And again, I'm gonna throw that thing out there. I see T'Challa put it in there. Not T'Challa, but Sutekh put it in there. What's the name? What is the first thing that popped to your mind? The first thing pop in your mind when you think of Africa. I also put like a lot of different things when I talk about the natural resources. When I say Africa sustains the whole world, it has the most natural resources in the ground that is grown there. So I actually show you a bunch of these different, materials that grow out in the ground that is actually exported out of the country that people are buying and etc. So go look at that presentation too. That was a good presentation. Ethiopia may struggle to find buyers for its coffee, Kenya for its flowers, Ivory Coast for its cocoa, Zambia for its copper. So everybody that has things to offer, because each one of these countries have certain things that they able to offer. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's rubber, whether it's copper, cocoa, coffee, whether it's diamond, whether it's gold, whether it's certain types of flour, where it's certain type of whatever type of material it is that grows, whatever type of mineral that grows in the ground that they use for jewelry, whatever the case it is. It's hard for these countries because each one of these countries have different types of minerals that grows in the ground. And I talks about that and highlight that in that presentation. What is the first thing that pop up in your mind when you think of Africa? And that presentation was um, to actually delete the negative images from the media in school and show you the things that Africa has to offer. So you know these countries are going
Africa has to offer. You said Africa.
Africa. I mean, man, you know what I'm talking about.
Let him alone.
Let him alone. Let me alone. Let me alone. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Another big blow is for African economics will be impact on travels and tourism. We know that Africa makes a lot of its money from tourism. Different people coming in with different tours, coming in. And actually, I've been getting like some of the information I've been getting from some of these um, different ethnic groups in Africa actually comes from, like I got some information from what I presented today on the Himba women. I actually got from an individual who actually was fascinated with Africa, went to Africa, got his license for tourism, worked for this a tour company, and he lived amongst the Himba people, and then he started his own tourist company, and I think he lived with the Himba people for like 10 or 11 years. And then it was an anthropologist who was fascinated with these women and actually has a documentary out that I got some information from her too, who actually went and lived with them for for some years, a certain period of time. But we can get information, especially from people that are tribes or that are clans or that is off the radar. A lot of these information you can get from these tourists and anthropologists who went off and lived amongst these people, but they make a lot of their money from their tourists. And business people visiting Africa from parts of the world has fallen sharp as flights have suspended, which we know they have shut down. Can't nobody get in, nobody get out. And some governments introduced traveling bans on passengers from Europe, China, and U.S. before the pandemic. Tourism in Africa growing 5% year for the country, like South Africa, would have been South Africa. I got South African. South Africa's Botswana, Rwanda, and Uganda tourism is a vital part of the economics. It generates billions of dollars and supports around 1 in 10 of all jobs. In the pandemic, it is over. Fewer tourists will be booked for holidays in Africa. So there is another part. Tourism is another major factor in their economics, and due to flights canceled, borders being banned, people can't get in, get out, social distancing, self quarantine, they're gonna be losing money there too. My conclusion: the coronavirus COVID-19 has affected African healthcare, politics, economics, food supply, tourism, and trading with China and Europe. This virus has affected every country around the world. So I hope everyone is practicing social distancing, self quarantine, washing your hands, drinking water every 20 minutes, keeping your hands out of your mouth, nose, and eyes, getting proper sleep, and immediately bathing and shower after coming in from work or shopping for food or supplies. So please practice good hygiene, stay safe, stay abreast on what's going on with the COVID-19, educate your family on the viruses, and show them how important it is to how important it is to put into place all of the practices that the CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, suggests. Again, stay safe, and stay responsible. Here are all my sources here. I keep my sources here up on the screen. I hope y'all appreciate the presentation. I hope it was informative for some people. Um, and again, I hope y'all appreciate it. Like again, these are my sources. I had no problem with people going through my sources, scrutinizing my sources, and That's it. Anybody on the panel got anything? Anybody in the chat got any questions? In the chat.
No, ain't no questions in the chat, bro.
Great job. Great job, Kofi. This stuff done turned Kofi into a biologist.
Well, no, I'm not a professional. I mean, as I just actually, you just, I mean, and that's the, and I'll say this. This is the.
Oh boy.
No. I'm just saying it is important to surround yourself around people that is smarter than you. Again, it is important to surround yourself around people that is smarter than you. It is important to surround yourself around people that can motivate you. It is important to surround yourself around people that can inspire you to be great and to do great things. This is the reason why I do. You see me, I'm by myself, or I'm with my son, my fiance, and her two daughters, or I'm by myself. I do not have any friends if you see me. And it is because of the place that where I'm at. And so so again, you have to surround yourself around people that are smarter than you, people that can inspire you, people that can motivate you, people that can push you to be great or elevate you to be great. So I appreciate all the people on the panel. I appreciate brother Shawn, because I mean I was already touching on it, but I wasn't just as interested. I was just trying to find out some information so I can keep my family abreast on certain things and keep myself abreast of the different updates. But due to Shawn posting um constantly, and they talking about it in the Mossi chat, and brother Unc them is talking about it, and sister Naya is talking and keeping these things abreast. It's actually inspiring me and motivating me to learn more than just the basic information. So I'm studying every day. I'm reading something every day. I'm on the CDC, US.gov. I'm checking with the World Health Organization, this other government organization, this news feed that I got, this other live science, where they do updates. This app that I got where they do updates. So I try to stay abreast of the latest information, the updates. You know what I'm saying? The ins and outs. The testing part, for us, the vaccination, how fast they come up with the vaccination, how are they testing to get these vaccinations, what is the criteria for it to be passed once they get it, how long it takes for the vaccination, etc. So I owe all that to you guys, and especially Shawn, like I said, with the constantly of posting information. Every time he posts something, I'm if I'm not doing something, even if I'm reading something, I'm stopping what I'm doing and I'm going instantly to read what he done post or what he done put in the back chat. You know what I'm saying? And I save it to I got a file now with all the stuff that I already have been researching on my own. So the stuff that I get from you guys, the stuff that Shawn constantly posts, and I just compile like a whole file. So now I can just go to certain things when I need to go to certain things, and put out some information. So I wanted to do this to put out some basic information, but also just talk about Africa. We talking about the US, and people know I love Africa. So I wanted to kind of share some information with, on what's going on in the motherland. Um Real quick, we got a announcement. We've been talking about announcement. We've been talking for the past month now. We've been talking about we got a big announcement. We just trying to get all our ducks in a row um before we say anything. We didn't want to say anything and then it don't come to fruition. So every week and then we did a show a few weeks ago about Kofi Piesie TV Families and Affiliate Research Team, for people that may not know who Kofi Piesie TV Families and Affiliate Research Team are. And the research team is myself, brother Shawn, who is any Herit Shawn Khalfani, brother T'Challa Bangara, um, um, and y'all may have recently seen him in an interview with a interview, brother T'Challa Bangara. That's the brother that's a part of the research team. You got Vasa Nicolo Gullah. Everybody should know Vasa Nicolo Gullah. He's always in the chat posting good information. In the chats. You got Sutekh Mariama, who is also a member of the Seshew Netcher group. You got brother Sutekh, who's the newest member of the Kofi Piesie family and affiliate research team. So it's six of us. It was another person, but Shawn ran that person off a long time ago. But I ain't gonna even talk about that. But
I ain't run nobody off. He ran off on his own because the Kemet didn't mean black people. They ain't had nothing to do with me. You mad and you don't want to talk to nobody no more because you've been refuted, and because Kemet don't mean black people. It mean the riparian zone, and you and your feelings about it, and you can't refute it, then that's your fault. Don't get mad at me.
Shawn ran the man off.
I ain't running man off. He was talking crazy to me. I wasn't talking crazy.
Yeah, I know it, man. But peace to that brother. We ain't gotta mention the name, but we know who we talking about. Peace. That's my bro, man. Peace to him, peace and love to him. But yeah, so we've been working on something. So well, I'll say we're 75%. We're 75% done with it. So we're working on a book. This is what we're working on. We're working on a book. On the left hand side, this is not, I prefer to go with this, but we're working on something else. The first cover, we're gonna put out a volume. So we're dropping the book March the 25th. Kofi Piesie, our research team, is dropping a book called Spirits of the Mossi. Spirits of the Mossi, a historical survey of the minds of African warrior scholar, volume 1. So this is going to be many volumes. So on the left-hand side, you see this was the first book cover. This is what the book cover was going to look like at first. So we're working on something different. So the book cover may change, but the name is not going to change. It is The Mossi Word Presents The Spirits of the Mossi, a historical survey of the minds of African warrior scholars, volume 1. And we also will be following up soon after we drop that book. We'll be following up soon. I don't have a date for it because I guess we could be in a talks of working on it, but it'll be from the spears to pens, the historical survey of the minds. Or did we decide that we was gonna do the Spirits of the Mossi volume 1s and do volumes for that, and then come back and do from Spears to Pens, volume 1 on all the way up, or is from the Spears to Pens gonna be volume 2?
The first one is the volume 1. The second one is the volume 2.
Okay.
We already got the information for volume 2. We ain't changing it. We got volume 1 and volume 2 right now. We're gonna hit the people with volume 1, May 25th. Support. Be on the lookout for it. Support the book. It's gonna have 6 perspectives, 6 articles in there. It's not gonna be a heavy read. It's gonna be something that everybody can digest, refer to, or use as a reference in their own research. Volume 2 is gonna hit y'all the same way. More information. We don't know what a release date will look like for that. Right now, we just got to get volume 1 out. So hopefully y'all rocking, people that rock with the family and their affiliates, be on the lookout. Once the cover is confirmed and is made available, share it on your Facebook, social media, all your social media sites, and then be on the lookout for a pre-order list. We make the pre-order list acceptable to you guys, and then get the book. Here, get the book.
Get the book.
Support our work.
That's right. Get the book. Get the book.
So we demonstration beats conversation. So be on the lookout. One of the things I'm a little bit proud of is the fact that I would be literally, I think Kofi 2 would be Kofi 2. Sutekh would be in 3. But this will be the 4th publication that I'll be represented in. Kofi the fourth, Sutekh the third, T'Challa and Vasa and Sutekh, it'll be their first publication that they're a part of. So, you know, that's what scholarship look like.
That's right. That's right. And
Put it in
again,
writing. Put it in writing.
that's
That's
right.
right.
That's right. And brother Ben, brother Benjamin Njie, Black Panther, he also wrote something for the book. Wrote something for the book too. So he'll be featured in the publication as well, man. So y'all support, man. So y'all support, man, and get that book, man, when it drop at the end of next month, man. Any of you guys got something, man? Say on the panel. Chala, Sutekh, Fossil, Sutekh.
I have bootleg copies of the book. If y'all want to get them in advance, go ahead and what they call it, Cash App, whatever that thing is called. Giggles.
You will be decapitated on site. You will be decapitated.
No,
Yeah.
but great show. We need more conversations like this, and to have them formatted in such a way, and to keep doing what's being done. So I'm appreciative towards everything, and send y'all's flowers while y'all breathing towards all this.
Yeah. Your other
Yeah,
brother.
man, good show, man. Like Vasa said, we need this. We need information like this. Hopefully, y'all watching will share this information with your kids and your family because this is what we do this for. Not just the COVID presentation, but everything we put up. We put up for you to share. We share this with you so you can share it with other people. So this is why we use. This is why we put up our source page at the end so you can vet. Um, this is why we do this, man. So hopefully, y'all share this information with those that are willing to hear, and hopefully y'all support this project that we coming out with.
You got something, Chala?
Yeah, I'd like to say, again, great show earlier, great show. Now, we, being around like-minded individuals, it's okay to like a person's, something I had to understand very recently is it's okay if a person has good character and for you to like their personality, you to like the person that they've developed to have good character, or at least strive to demonstrate good character. It don't mean they don't make mistakes. It don't mean you might not cuss them out every now and again and then, have to call them back or something. That ain't what that means. Having good character, Iwa Pele, is of the utmost importance. And if you disagree with some information, don't, as Brother Unc like to say, talk me to death. Like, don't just rattle off at the mouth about everything that's why I'm incorrect. Show me how. I don't have a problem with being corrected either. And I think it's real important that there are certain individuals, if you observe in the community, certain people don't really get offended when somebody try to correct them or whatever. They just go ahead and put the pen to the paper. I kind of want to just highlight Brother Shawn for his hard work and dedication as well, because from when I first discovered the Seshew, I would always hear about how Shawn wrote this article, Shawn wrote that article, and Shawn did this, and Shawn wrote that. And, I would sit back in the cut and I would just peep certain hangouts. And myself, as well as what Kofi stated, I would find myself just purposely, first of all, I do this anyway. I hear something on somebody's hangout, I'm looking it up as the live is on there, as I'm looking at it. So I got the video playing and I'm opening up tabs point for point when somebody says something, even before they show their sources, if they show their sources. And so for me personally, I just want to say that my involvement is due to not that I'm like, oh, I'm looking to see if somebody gonna be wrong. I'm trying to catch somebody in the aha moment. But I'm trying to learn. And so like Kofi said, you want to surround yourself with people that you know that you can learn from, smarter than you, however you want to put it, because everybody got their gift. And it's very important that we get away from this, the personality worship. Worship means to pay respects to. I'll say in the African sense. Not this spooked out like I'm praying to an actual God named Shawn, Kofi, Sutekh, and Tepinra, No, that's not what's happening. But what happens is
How
they
come I
are
don't
God.
get to be a god?
Brother Vasa. In the African sense, we are gods. In the African sense, we are participating in God. We are God participating with ourselves. I don't want to go too deep with that, but we got to understand that it's okay to like someone's personality and to come together to be willing to put some work down for these babies, because that's what I'm concerned about. Somebody sent me something the other day, and the brother was like, "Don't go outside at 11:30. I got a friend in the military, and the government said don't go. They're gonna be spraying He was a chemtrail guy, and he was talking about chemicals being sprayed at 11:30 on Friday night. Don't go outside. Now again, I live in Chicago. You can go outside 11:30 in the morning, 11:30 at night, and if you happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, you can catch something. That's just the way and it's like that all over. You see what I'm saying? So we have real world problems that we're trying to address with our work, and that we, like Shawn always deals with logic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you hear him snapping off on people, but if you listen to what people are saying and you actually look it up, you find real quickly like, dude, you sound crazy. And so we've all been there in the pseudo realm, but we have to understand that life ain't just black and white. It ain't just cut and dry like, oh, it's either this or that, this dichotomy. It's not like that. Understanding these viruses and this pandemic is more complex than what you think. If scientists are talking about what they don't know, which that's what they do, it's about not knowing actually and trying to help solve the problems, because you always start out in ignorance. And then you learn by doing your experiment, not starting out with the conclusion and you just make up a hypothesis as you go. No, that ain't how that works. People's lives is on the line. People is losing their lives. People is coming back home infected, not knowing it, infecting their families, losing their wives and kids. It's deep out here. We must be smart, family. This was an excellent presentation, and I hope that many will tune in to this one. That's all I got.
And we should, to feed off of what you were saying, two things. I'll try to be as quick as possible. How you was talking about allowing somebody with good character to be able to make mistakes and not really get condemned for it. We got to understand, as we strive for perfection, that only means completion. So the greatest joy in life is it's not completed in one moment. So allow yourself room to learn and make mistakes and just be honest with your growth. Then on the flip side to all this, I apologize, y'all. My son came up to me. Give me just a second. My bad, y'all. What I wanted to get to is the importance of discernment. Again, y'all keep hearing me say that. Take the time to really analyze societies and cultures, and you should make your measurement of what a good society or culture is based off of its cultural integrity, not its possessions. You can't buy your way out of this pandemic. So that arrogance towards handling the situation is a lot of it is rooted right there. You should measure you should measure a person, your culture, your society, how it functions during crisis. How does it handle when there's a challenge presented in front of it? Because we can always get blinded to the joys of life. When everything is good, everything's good. But what do you do when you have these moments, when you have problems that you have to come up against? So that's why it's important to try to get as much information as you can personally. You don't have to be a walking library, but at least know where your library is in your neighborhood and what a library is. I'm gonna chime back out because I gotta get with my son. But
Yes. What's up, Sutekh? You got anything? I think you was on the one that ain't spoke.
Nah, I'm good.
All right, man. Well, you know, again, appreciate everybody, man, that tune in. Be looking out for the book Spirits of the Mossi by Kofi. Spirits of the Mossi, the historical survey of the minds of African warriors, Scholar 1, Volume 2, by Kofi Piesie research team, May the 25th. And be looking for spears from spears to a pen, historical survey of the minds of African warrior scholar, volume 2. We ain't got a date for that. Be on the lookout for that one too as well. But May 25th, please go and support. Support before then, like Shawn say, we'll in a couple of weeks we'll have once we get the book cover, the officially agreed upon. We'll be sharing, and then we'll be sharing a place where you can go and get do your pre-order, you know, and it'll be available on Amazon.com. So please support us. If you haven't subscribed to Kofi Piesie TV channel, on your way out, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so when we go live, you will be notified.
Kofi.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna make up a story about somebody's house flooded and start a GoFundMe so we can raise some money for our book, all right?
We finna go,
you ain't
man.
even gotta make nothing up. Y'all ain't even gotta make nothing up. I found out my son's room is leaking from the roof. These damn hailstorms pop in and out.
Yeah, it's storming here, man. It's bad here right now, man. But yeah, man, you know, if y'all, you know, we appreciate y'all, man. We know we say the same thing over and over, man, but we truly mean it. You know, y'all could have been anything anywhere else, man, but y'all you know, took a little of y'all time, man, to share y'all time with us, man, to listen to what we had to say. So we appreciate y'all, man. We truly appreciate y'all because we know time is valuable. Um, tune in next week. I don't know. I think we're gonna be coming back on Kobe Piesie TV with part 2 of. I don't even know what the name of the prison, what the discussion was, because I named it a crazy name, Kofi Piesie TV versus that Mossi Warrior Clan versus Dagger Squad versus MBK versus something about it, just to prove a point. Um, you know, and then we gave the name of the presentation, which I can't even remember, but we'll be probably coming back and doing part 2 of that. I don't know what we'll be doing on Mossi. Shawn, you got something Sunday? Or it's on me?
I don't know.
But just let me know. Let me
I
know.
don't know. I'm reading right now. Like, you know, I'm researching right now. I just finished one book and I just cracked open another one that's dealing with the same thing, but just a different primary source. So I got to start this book and see how far I can get in this book and end that book and then read another book before I can do a presentation on what I want to do based on that. So I'm just doing all my reading. But yeah, I mean, I got presentations. I just don't know. You know, I don't know.
All right, well, just let me know because I ain't got a damn thing.
I want to do my Cimarron stuff, but ain't nobody critiqued it yet.
What's Cimarron?
I'm trying to hear somebody tell me I'm wrong.
Man, you need to go and do that, Darren.
Look, man. Can we get off this stream because Vasa's supposed to have something done by the end of business today and
okay.
Leave me alone, Shawn. I told you my phalanges. My phalanges was
we ain't
damaged.
got nothing to do with that. We ain't got nothing to do with that.
Man, spell it. No.
Get on it.
We got date. We got expectations.
All right, so we sticking with number one though. On the
Man,
left
listen,
side.
man,
Shawn got you on the clock.
bro. Why we doing this live?
Yo, we free to go, man. But appreciate
Because I'm
everybody.
bold like that. I'm ignorant.
Yeah, hold on. But I appreciate everybody, man. Again, man, for tuning in. I read your comment, Brother Green Spirit Studio, man. Appreciate your support, man. And I'll reach out, but I'll reach out to you, man. But appreciate it, man. Appreciate y'all, man. We'll see y'all, man. Next week, man. Same time, same channel, man. Shoot, we ain't gonna be able to do nothing if I don't stop. Yeah. So again, we'll see y'all, man, next week, man. Peace, man. Black African power. Continue to be safe. Continue to practice social distance and self quarantine, man. Y'all be safe, man. We out.